It seems that yet another developer has willfully misunderstood what the Digital Millennium Copyright Act is and is fraudulently using copyright takedown strikes in order to remove videos that it doesn't like from YouTube. This time it's Battlestate Games, known predominantly for Escape From Tarkov, who have hit YouTuber Eroktic with 47 copyright takedown strikes, removing almost 50 videos from their YouTube channel over what Battlestate alleges is misinformation and, more concerning, negative hype. DMCA claims are supposed to be there to, well, get rid of copyright infringing material. That's the point of it. You know, a movie studio could say, well, you've uploaded all these clips of our film without our permission. It's infringing on our copyright. It stops people seeing our film. We're gonna go tell YouTube and get that video taken down. That's what it's supposed to be there for in practice, but as we see with many video game developers, they abuse the system in order to just take down videos they don't like. Usually criticism that hurts their feelings, so they decide the best way to deal with that is to just have the video scoured from the internet. This has almost always backfired. Streisand effect only amplifies the YouTuber who's been targeted, the developer looks like it can't handle criticism properly, and it usually just winds up as a big humiliation conga line for whoever started issuing the fraudulent claims. This is an interesting case because Battlestate Games alleges that Eroktic spread false information. And get used to hearing the word misinformation a lot because Battlestate Games uses that word like it's going out of bloody fashion. The allegation is that Eroktic said that there was a data leak on Battlestate's end. They say Eroktic put up 2 videos that talk about personal details from customers being leaked via Battlestate databases, that those videos were erroneous, and that even though only 2 of them had this, alleged misinformation, they decided to go ahead and take down 47 videos at once. Now, what did the rest of those videos do? Well, that's the negative hype, according to Battlestate Games. It was too negative. There was too much criticism, so they go as well. It seems almost as if the misinformation accusations were a good pretense that allowed Battlestate Games to swoop in and scrub any criticism, anything they didn't quite care for. Now, if there is erroneous information going around, Battlestate Games has the right to deal with that, but that's not what the DMCA is there for. It doesn't exist for that. And if you think something slanderous was said about you, well, that's a subject for the courts, isn't it, if you really want to fight that? So what a lot of game developers especially seem to fail to grasp, the DMCA doesn't exist as a hotfix for you to quickly patch out videos you don't like. What you're doing is misusing a system. Copyright strikes are not weapons for you to wield willy-nilly. They have a specific purpose, but it seems most of the time when we hear about copyright strikes, that purpose is not the reason they're being used. And when you're lumping in a whole bunch of other videos with even more spurious reasoning, you just look petty. I can't speak for Eroktic, I don't know them, I'm not entirely familiar with their work. All I know is that's not what you use copyright takedowns for. You certainly don't wield this fucking takedown strike power over negative hype. That is absolutely an invalid fucking reason to go after anyone, really. And we've had this conversation time and time again. It's blown up in the face of the DMCA abusers time and time again. How are we still having this fucking conversation? Are people really that fucking thick? In a rather combative official statement from Battlestate, they had this to say: all attempts to accuse us of being deaf to the opinion of our loyal players, in what might not be shocking news, there was a bit of a backlash to this whole thing, can hardly be regarded as anything but blatant equivocation. As usual, we monitor all the feedback and we take everything in consideration. In this case, to our regret, we had to act hard. Lately, Eroktic decided to settle on the concept of negative hype and started ardently supporting people who obviously designate their position as hostile to us. Eroktic released a video in which he, in a tendentious manner, accused us of incompetence that allegedly led to a leak of 2 million profile credentials. The video was based on someone else's document, which described the process of obtaining basic information about profile through rating tables. Nevertheless, after our check, we were convinced that no leaks have ever happened. Eroktic began to spread rumour that cheaters can steal your account and get you banned for cheating. All of this was and remains false. Battlestate goes on to say that they looked at the leaked data that was flagged up and found that that data had been freely available on the internet before due to leaks from other companies. They say this data was particularly in the database of one well-known game that has been leaked a year ago. They say that because users often use the same passwords and emails for multiple accounts, that leaked information due to well-known games a year ago could be accessed on any game account for any game, which, yeah, makes sense. And if that's the case, then there is wrong information out there that should be corrected. But this is a classic case of someone with a potentially legitimate grievance turning themselves into the villain because they handled the situation in pretty much the wrongest way you could handle it. And you see, this is where it gets quite messy because, well, Battlestate goes on to implicate pettiness on their part. We'll just read from their words again. The decision to address YouTube concerning video on the Eroktic's channel had to be made in order to stop misinformation and hatred. Moreover, we did not want and we do not want this person to be associated with our game in the first place. His purposefully destructive actions cannot be considered criticism, no matter how you look at it. Eroktic has a long history of negative attitude towards our project, the company and players, and with the recent actions he crossed the line. Fuck off. No, fuck off. You don't get to make that call. You don't get to scrub anyone's content because you don't like their association with your product on a rather tenuous level. If you think YouTube videos violate your copyright, you need to take all of them down. Every Escape From Tarkov video down from YouTube. Otherwise, you're being selective, you're playing favourites, and that is exploitation of YouTube's strike system. In a statement to Polygon, the Escape From Tarkov developers continue to believe that they're using the strike system correctly. We know what this instrument is designed for. We had to use this tool in order to stop the wave of misinformation. What's important to be noted is that we didn't ban this person in-game. We still allow him to play and to stream because he never cheated, he never broke the rules of the game, and he never broke the rules of the license agreement on the game. But in his videos, he spread a lie, and we had to act fast and stop this. Cool, maybe they did. Maybe, and I can only say maybe, I can't speak for these videos because we can't see them right now. Maybe they did have to act hard and fast to combat some misinformation. Get your fucking lawyer on the phone. Go through the correct channels, deal with this the right way. Do not essentially bombshell somebody's channel with takedowns. Especially when doing so will get more people talking about you negatively than the original alleged misinformation. You're upset that these data leak accusations made you look incompetent. Well, now you look fucking incompetent. You look fucking stupid. Going down a path many developers have gone down, all thinking they'll be the exception, all thinking they'll come out of it smelling of roses, all of them falling on their fucking face. You'd still be misusing the system if you'd have just gone after those 2 videos, but you'd have had a better case, you'd have got more sympathy, as opposed to going friggin' overboard and taking down almost 50 videos. All because you don't like the negative hype. Battlestate said that they're not going to issue any more fraudulent DMCA claims, but we wanted to show that negative hype and misinformation cannot remain without any punishment. The game and this community do not deserve that. They said that going forward, they're going to deal with similar issues by, pursuing actual defamation cases, which is what they should have done here if they felt so aggrieved. So yeah, it just looks like they picked a YouTuber who had offended them and went entirely the wrong way about dealing with them. They dealt with it in a way that has now rallied other YouTubers, other influential Escape From Tarkov players against Battlestate Games. This has and is continuing to blow up in their faces because of course it would, of course it is, of course it will. We've done this song and dance so many times. I've been in that song and dance more times than I care to remember, and it never works out for the fucker issuing the false DMCA claim. If this goes the way these things typically go, those videos will be missing for about 30 days. In that time, Eroktic can fight the claim, say no copyright was infringed, and then the onus is on Battlestate to take this to court, which so far no developer has ever done. And to think, if this misinformation is misinformation, then Battlestate could easily have made itself the hero of this piece. If it had just gone through the right channels, and if it hadn't have completely overstepped its fucking mark. Battlestate doesn't want this negative hype and this misinformation to go unpunished, but it's picked its own punishment. It's made up the punishment by alleging copyright infringement instead of misinformation. That's literally what you do when you start issuing DMCA takedowns. You're alleging copyright infringement. But nowhere in their official statements do they actually say that's what it is, because they know that's not what it's about. In the time of me recording this, Eroktic has put up a statement on Facebook. It's an incredibly long one, I'll link it in the description, but Eroktic accuses Battlestate of lying when it comes to accusations of negative hype, saying they're misrepresenting his criticism. He said that with regards to the misinformation, he was reading an article that detailed the data leak, and that he honestly hopes it's wrong because he just wanted to signal boost it to warn people. He also challenges Battlestate by saying that if they do think this is genuine misinformation, then why hasn't he had any legal action taken against him? Which is a fair question. Reach out, have an official letter from lawyers sent. I mean, just reach out and ask if they can be taken down because they're wrong, if that's what you feel, instead of taking the nuclear option and nuking an entirely wrong location. But then that wouldn't get rid of the critical videos at the same time, would it? Battlestate Games, in an attempt to not to look inept, you've made yourself look stupider than you possibly could have imagined. This is a silly situation that has gotten way out of hand because that keeps happening. Because there are no real checks and balances in place, there are only automated systems that people can fuck around with at will, and it leads to entirely unpleasant, toxic atmospheres like we're seeing here. Whether or not the initial videos were wrong has become irrelevant. It's become an irrelevant discussion because now we're having an entirely different one due to a severe overstepping of boundaries. And I just can't believe this has happened again. But really, why the fuck am I surprised?